Hey everyone, bear with me. I'm just turning off my notifications. They're silencing my phone. Hope you're doing well. It is Monday, October 13th, 2025, and welcome to My Heart Mondays. We're continuing our series, Sound Mind, Safe Heart. And today we are getting into Isaiah 11, verses 1 through 2. And the Spirit of the Lord rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. So this series, I'm getting into 7 characteristics and attributes of the 7 spirits of God. Last week, we went over the Spirit of the Lord and what that was exactly, capital L-O-R-D. And for those of you that missed it, I will link it on this video. In fact, I'm going to go through my channel and just kind of update some stuff because it's been a minute since I've kept on top of everything, y'all. And I appreciate y'all's patience and understanding. It's just been, I've been juggling a lot, so. But I will get to that. So basically, every video you watch, I will have links to the other videos so you can watch the whole series. That's how I like to do it, and that's how I've done it in the past. So I will do that for y'all. But last week it was Spirit of the Lord, and I talked about how the Spirit of the Lord is actually the 3 persons of God in one spirit, leading and guiding us. Today I'm getting into number 2, which is the Spirit of wisdom. And actually I'm going to get into understanding as well. I was debating about separating them, but they kind of go hand in hand. So I'm gonna do the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, because I feel like they're like twin sisters, and we need this. Lots of reading today, and I think these passages that I'm going to read for us are going to expound what is the Spirit of wisdom, what is wisdom, where does it come from, how do we attain it, and how does it connect to us having a sound mind and a safe heart. Because after all, these days, we need both. So, the Spirit of wisdom. This is how I'm going to define wisdom for us. Hello, good to see you. Michelle, welcome. Everybody who's coming in the chat and on the live stream, welcome. Those of you watching on the replay, welcome. Hope you enjoy this video and it blesses you. And please feel free to share it to others, with others. Yeah, let's get into this. So, wisdom is divine. Wisdom is divine. It is God-inspired understanding and direction. This is how I'm going to define wisdom for us as it pertains to the holy wisdom of God. Okay, this is not your average textbook understanding or textbook knowledge. This is divinely inspired understanding and direction from God Almighty. So with that said, let's turn to Proverbs. By the way, if you're new to having a relationship with God and walking with the Lord, I recommend that you start in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs is literally in the center of the Bible. It is what I call my spiritual vitamin. I haven't read it much these days, but when I was very, very, very early in my walk with the Lord, I would read it every single day. There's 31 of them, so it's perfect for your calendar. Especially if you're someone who doesn't, either you don't know how to start, where to start in the Bible, or you just can't really get into it, this is a good place to start. And this is where I'm taking you today. We're going to go from Proverbs 1 through Proverbs 3. We're going to stop at Proverbs 3. So welcome everyone. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. John, yes, John is a great book, actually. It's one of my favorites. But yes, John is another great book, actually. Thanks for sharing that. John is another great book to understand God, and that God is love. It's a beautiful book. Thanks for mentioning that, by the way. Awesome. Yes, please feel free to ask questions. Anything y'all want to share, please do. So let's get into this. We're turning to Proverbs chapter 1 first. And I might skip around in chapter 1, but we're definitely going to read all the way through chapter 2. I have no idea what that is in my Bible, y'all. Is it food or who knows what it is? So I've had this one for I want to say 2010 is when I got this one. So yeah, it's a little worn. It's got stains, it's got life lived in it. But I say a Bible well loved is a spirit well nourished. So here we go. Feel free to ask your questions. I'm going to start with verse 2. Proverbs 1:2. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction is in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity. Verse 4, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. In verse 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So this is what the Proverbs are for. These first 7 verses let us know why the Proverbs were written, what they're for, and how they help us. So with that said, let's drop to verse 20, the call of wisdom. Wisdom cries aloud in the street. In the markets she raises her voice. At the head of the noisy streets she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates she speaks. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. Because I have called, and you refuse to listen, have stretched out my hand, and no one has heeded, because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel and despised all my reproof. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their way and have fill of their own devices. For the simple are killed by their turning away, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me will dwell securely and will be at ease without dread of disaster. So as we can see here, there's definitely a there is a, I want to say punishment, but a consequence, that's probably the better word. There's a consequence for disregarding the wisdom of God, especially when you are in the Spirit and you're learning. God is always leading us to truth. He's always guiding us to the right path. It's a matter of posturing ourselves to listen and to take heed. And yes, a lot of this does involve correction and redirection and helping us get back on the path. So don't let that scare you, okay? Because wisdom, I would say wisdom is probably the highest form of revelation that we can receive from God that is closer to our spiritual mind than it is our intellectual mind. And we'll get into knowledge tomorrow, or next week, next Monday. We'll get into the spirit of knowledge, because knowledge is probably a little more accessible for us, because this is where we reason things out in the intellectual part of the mind. But wisdom is a little bit higher. It's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more complex, I would say. I'm still waiting for your question. Feel free to ask when you're ready. Let's go to chapter 2, actually, because 2 gives us a little more in depth of this wisdom and what its value is. Okay, so this is Proverbs chapter 2. And then if I feel led to skip around, I will do that as well. There is another chapter, I'm already thinking of it now, but we'll go there in a little bit. My son. By the way, when it says my son, it's not just men. This is, just like when it says man, it's not just man, it is humanity. But son, children, and obviously this was written by King Solomon, I believe. But just bear that in mind, okay? There's no partiality. Happy birthday, Lavender. Happy birthday. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding, yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. By the way, we're gonna come and go over this a lot during this study. For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths of justice and watching over the way of his saints. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. This is the key right here. I'm back. Sorry, y'all. I just had a glitch in my live stream. So we're back. And I believe I was on verse... Let's start with verse 9. You're welcome. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will watch over you, understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech, who forsake the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perverseness of evil, men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words, who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house sinks down to death, and her paths to the departed. None who go to her come back, nor do they regain the paths of life. So you will walk in the way of the good and keep to the paths of the righteous. For the upright will inhabit the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it. Okay, so again, here there is promises when you choose to receive the wisdom of the Lord, and then there's consequences when you choose to reject the wisdom of the Lord. Okay, so we're going to kind of break this down a little bit, and there's a few things that really are highlighted for me that I want to impart to you, and I hope if nothing else you carry these with you to understand the spirit of wisdom when it comes to the Lord. So let's go back to verse 10. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Okay, this is such a beautiful verse, and actually it really amplifies what I teach all the time, okay, that our soul realm, okay, those of you who know me, who've been with me for a little bit, know that I teach all the time on the soul realm. Our soul is mind, heart, and will. So our mind is, as I say, the central nervous system of the soul. It is where we receive information. into our thought realm so that we can obviously have our thoughts and our belief system and how we live our life. Our heart is our emotional realm, and this is where we really, I feel like the heart, even though the mind is the central nervous, I feel like the heart is obviously the core of the soul realm. So whatever's in your heart is really what's going to pull you or push you in a direction. Okay? So wisdom, it says here, will come into your heart. Okay? Which is amazing because really, as I was sharing, wisdom is the highest form of, if you want to look at it this way, it's the highest form of intellect you can have in this natural realm that is not of this natural realm, because it's God inspired, it's divinely imparted into your mental realm, the spiritual part of the mind, again, which I teach all the time. So wisdom actually coming into your heart tells you everything you need to know. Okay? So if you're having trouble with your heart and your feelings and your emotions, it's because you need more wisdom from God about you, about your life. Knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Okay, so again, and it says soul as in the whole part of the soul. But again, knowledge, mind, just I kind of want to help you connect those two dots, because next session we're going to get into the knowledge of God and how it affects your mind and how it helps you renew your mind, because this is where we have trouble, especially when you're first walking with the Lord and trying to understand, why do I think the way I think? Why do I do what I do? Why do I keep struggling with these sins? Why do I keep all of this? This is where it comes down to, okay? So, verse 10, for wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Okay? Discretion will watch over you, and understanding will guard you. Okay? So let's break those two words down. So discretion is another word for careful. How do I want to describe this? Discretion is having a careful consideration about something. Okay? In other words, you really think something out before you make a decision on it. Okay? Discretion will watch over you. Okay? In other words, my steps are carefully calculated. I don't just rashly rush into something. I use discretion. Understanding will guard you. Okay, so again, understanding goes hand in hand with wisdom. If you have wisdom, you'll have understanding. If you don't have understanding, it's because you don't have wisdom. They're twin sisters. They coexist all the time. Okay, so let's go back to verse 2, or verse 1. If you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Okay, so that's where it starts. You must learn to receive the words of the Lord, his written word and his spoken word. Okay, so there's two essentially equally important parts and participations that I must connect to receive God's words. Number one, I must be spiritually aligned and connected to God to hear his voice leading and guiding me in my daily life. And I must learn to connect to his word, which amplifies and confirms what I'm hearing in my spirit. You will never hear God contradict what you're hearing in your spirit with what's written in this word. Okay, and vice versa. He will never tell you something counter what he's already written in the word. Okay? So if you receive, so I must receive. Okay, and this is a whole process, y'all. In my one-to-one inner healing sessions, I call this the divine exchange in this particular realm of inner healing. So I must, this is step 5 and 6 in this process, I call it the divine exchange. I must release the pain and simultaneously receive my healing. Okay, in the same way, when it comes to receiving God's words, I must learn to release anything mentally or emotionally that counters what he has spoken. This is the sanctification process. This is me learning how to renew my mind, how to renew my life, letting go of my old ways to receive God's ways. It's a whole process, but it starts there. I must receive his words. So bear with yourself if you are new, if you're learning how to hear from God, if you're learning how to understand the scriptures. It's a process. But once you receive his words, that is to say, this is truth and I want to live by this, and you treasure up his commandments with you. And I'm not going to get too deep into that, but the commandments are simply in the New Testament. They're summed up, not the Old Testament, but the New Testament is to love God and love one another. 2 commandments. Making your ear attentive to wisdom. Okay, so again, I have to be listening for his word. Active listening. And incline your heart to understanding. Again, this is where it's poured into me, is my heart realm. Okay? Yes, if you call out for insight and you raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord. So the fear of the Lord is the 7th spirit of the Lord that we will get into once we're wrapping up this series. But it is all here, okay? And these first 5 verses. The fear of the Lord and the knowledge of God. Okay? For the Lord, I'm just rereading this. For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He's a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths of justice and watching over the way of his saints. Okay, so what is the upright? Has anybody wondered that? So again, upright, there's a lot of these kind of words in scripture where it talks about this posture of being right with God, okay? Remember this, you are not perfect, I am not perfect, none of us are perfect, and never will we be perfect. But the Lord himself was the perfect lamb sacrificed for mankind. So when I'm in Christ, that is to say, I have surrendered my life to him, I am in his spirit and he is in me, and we are in the Father, then I have inherited his righteousness. So he speaks on my behalf. Okay? So while I will never always get things right, he speaks on my behalf. Okay? So it's a matter of how you're postured in your spirit realm to make you upright. Okay? To make you blameless. That's another word that's used a lot in scripture. Make you spotless, without blemish or wrinkle. Okay, this is not sinless, because none of us never sin. Okay, it doesn't matter how great or how small, we all sin every day. But the key here is I have a consciousness, a God consciousness that reminds me, oh, Lord, I'm sorry, whatever it is. Okay, and the more you're in his word, the more you're in his presence, whether it's through prayer, meditation, communion, or you know, Bible study, whatever it is for you that helps you stay connected is what's going to pour into your spirit and help you grow spiritually, because that's the key, is your participation in connecting to the Spirit of God. Okay, so then you will understand righteousness, which we just went over. It's his righteousness, and justice and equity and every good path. Okay? For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will watch over you. Understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech, who forsake the paths of uprightness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perverseness of evil, men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. Okay, so y'all, we're living in the last days, and yes, the darkness, the evil, the grossness, the perverted speech, I mean, all of it, it's all over the place. You can't hardly get away from it, really. So you will be guarded and protected and delivered from this as you receive the knowledge and wisdom of God. Okay, it is your safeguard. It is how you keep your heart safe and your mind sound. Is his spirit of wisdom, of understanding, as we're talking about in this video, and then we'll get into knowledge. Okay, so if you're in a place, even if you're in a place right now, you're watching this video and you don't even have a relationship with God and you're trying to figure out what's going on, my hope is that your next step is to seek God, to escape this craziness that's going on, because it is the only space and place that you have here to keep yourself sane as the days grow darker. And that's Friday night. We'll get into Friday night last days. So let's keep going. Where was I? Right, who rejoice, verse 14, who rejoice in doing evil, delight in the perverseness of evil, men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. So there's actually people out there who enjoy the darkness, who enjoy hurting others, who enjoy paths that are crooked. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words. Okay, so again, what does that mean? This is literally talking about women who sell themselves or present themselves in a way that is promiscuous, that is, some of these women, they have sexual demons attached to them. I mean, it gets very gross and very dark. So this is another warning, especially in our day and age with the social media, and, you know, it's sad, actually. It's very sad. There's many women out there who are literally have demons and entities attached to them that are sexually, I don't know, influencing them, I guess. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it is, it's a sickness. It's a sickness, and it's sad, because many of these young men, especially younger men, are seeing things that probably generations before us wouldn't have seen at such a young age. But this is, it's a warning, it's a caution. Wisdom will keep you from the forbidden woman. Okay, those of you that struggle with porn and things like that, wisdom will help you escape her tantalizing, whatever it is, spirit. Okay, it is not of God. It is not beautiful. It is not attractive. It's actually very dark and evil. So, and then it goes down to And yes, there is a warning here, and it says, her house sinks down to death, her paths to the departed, and those who go, or none who go to her come back, nor do they regain the paths of life. Okay? We've heard of many stories of families being destroyed by the quote-unquote forbidden woman, okay, the adulteress. And it is a spirit. There is a spirit that operates behind women who have this perverseness to lure men where they shouldn't go. However, men, with the Spirit of the Lord, you can have the wisdom, the guidance, the knowledge, the self-control to say no and rebuke her. So you will walk in the way of the good and keep to the paths of righteousness, for the upright will inhabit the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it. So what does this mean here, inhabit the land? So this is, for me, I understand this to be like it's just a general promise. God has inheritance for his people, even though this was written however long ago, especially as we're continuing in our time. There is a divine reversal. I've been sharing this for a little bit that's happening in the body of Christ with God's people. God is moving us into establishment in this earth realm before gross darkness takes over the land. So this is a promise, inherit the land. And I don't know how that looks for you, but it is a promise that God has for his people. So any questions? We are at 30 minutes. There is another passage I wanted to read about wisdom because I feel like it kind of ties it all together. But as you can see, just with the scriptures that we're reading, this is keeping us in a space of having a sound mind and a safe heart. Because if I have the wisdom of God, I don't care what I go through. If I tap into that spiritual part of my mind, and it's always there, you know, even if you're someone who's been, let's say you were close to the Lord and you went through some stuff and you've lost your faith and you've kind of backslidden, it's still there. He's still pouring that wisdom into you. It's a matter of tapping into it, receiving it, and applying it into your daily life. So that's an encouragement for somebody or some of us. I want to say it's Romans, but I could be wrong. So give me 1 second, because there's another passage of wisdom that I want us to... Nope, it's not. The Holy Spirit just reminded me. It's actually Proverbs 8. I was going to say Romans 8, but it's Proverbs 8. And 9. We're reading more. Proverbs 8 and 9. Here we go. By the way, any questions or comments or anything, don't hesitate to share. The blessings of wisdom. This is Proverbs chapter 8. Does not wisdom call? Does not understanding raise her voice? On the heights beside the way, at the crossroads, she takes her stand. Besides the gates, in front of the town, at the entrance of the portals, she cries aloud, to you, O men, I call, and my cry is to the children of man. O simple ones, learn prudence, learn sense. Hear, for I will speak noble things. And from my lips will come what is right, for my mouth will utter truth. Wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are righteous. There is nothing twisted or crooked in them. They are all straight to him who understands, and right to those who find knowledge. Take my instruction instead of silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than jewels, and all that you may desire cannot compare with her. So as you can see, wisdom has been assigned a female spirit, a feminine spirit. You could see it as a mother. That wisdom is sort of the female counterpart of God. wisdom is a female spirit. And what does the female do? God created women, especially as it pertains to them in their motherhood, to nurture, to cultivate self-worth, and help you formulate your self-image and self-awareness. Okay, this is the female spirit. This is the feminine. This is what we do. We are natural caregivers, and we give birth to what we receive. So this is deep and powerful and amazing. I think there's another one. Let me just double check. No, let's keep going. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and I find knowledge and discretion. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. In case you're wondering, what is the fear of the Lord? What does it mean to fear the Lord? It is reverence and respect, and it is hatred of evil. In fact, it's been a minute, but the only time I've seen hatred is when it pertains to evil. So the fear of the Lord is hatred of evil, pride and arrogance and the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. Pride, arrogance, the way of evil, perverted speech. God does not like. The spirit of wisdom cannot be around. Pride, arrogance, the way of evil and perverted speech. I have counsel and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. Again, so these are the attributes of wisdom: counsel, sound wisdom, insight, and strength. By me kings reign and rulers decree what is just. By me princes rule and nobles all who govern justly. I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me. Again, this is echoing the first chapter. You seek and you will find. You seek God and you will find him. You seek his wisdom and he will give it to you. Riches and honor are with me. So again, here we're getting into the benefits of wisdom. These are the blessings and benefits that come with having God's wisdom and access to God's wisdom. Riches and honor. Enduring wealth and righteousness. In fact, there's another verse that talks about, I might get into it actually, but riches and honor are in his right hand. I believe it's his right hand. I'll get into it later because it's actually reminding me of something else. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold, and my yield than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, in the paths of justice, granting an inheritance to those who love me and filling their treasuries. Again, it's just nothing but abundance and goodness that comes from the way of wisdom and having the wisdom and understanding of the Lord. The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his work, at first of his acts of old. Ages ago I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth. Where there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs abounding with water. This is amazing because those of you that know chapter 1 of Genesis, wisdom is literally proclaiming and saying, I was here before any of you were here. I was here before the beginning of the earth and the world. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills, I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth with its fields, or the first of the dust of the world, when he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies, when he established the fountains of the deep, when he assigned the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command. When he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him like a master workman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the children of man. Okay, y'all, I don't know if this has been ever shared or anybody This is just a revelation the Lord's pouring into me as I'm reading this. To me, this sounds a lot like wisdom is the Lord's rib, okay? The Lord's Eve, if you will, by his side through all of it. This is amazing and beautiful. I don't know. And now, O sons, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. Blessed is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But he who fails to find me injures himself, and all who hate me love death. Okay. Actually, I'm going to stop there because I think that beautifully sums up wisdom. And if I find that other verse, because I wanted to share it, but I can't remember where it is right now. The one of riches and honor are in his right hand. Because that's actually, you know what, I'll share that Friday, because that was actually a revelation I got as it pertains to the mark of the beast. I got that revelation in, I want to say like 2015 or maybe 2018. But anyways, this has been the second Spirit of God, the Spirit of Wisdom, second and third Spirit of Wisdom and Understanding. I hope it blessed you. Feel free to ask questions or share anything, and I encourage you to read those chapters to understand a little bit more about the wisdom of the Lord. I will be back on Friday for our last day's live stream, unless I come back sooner. If you're interested in my one-to-one sessions, my availability is open still. You can message me at shesrestored@gmail.com, or you can just book directly. As I said, I'm going to update my YouTube, so everything should be good to go. That's all, y'all. Love y'all, and I hope y'all are doing well, and have a great week.